There are several theories that explain voter behavior. The most common one that we use in Ghana is the dominant party model. So people vote because of party.
Yeah, my assessment is based on history and is based on electoral system that we have. If you follow the electoral system that we have, this country is naturally a two-party system. All the parties we have had, one way or the other, they give way to the main CPP and the UP tradition. So you realize that a third force is a difficulty.
You know what's strange? A country over 30 million people, hundreds of ethnic groups, thousands of communities, millions of different life experiences, and somehow every national conversation ends in the same place. NDC or NPP, red or blue, government or opposition. It's almost like we've accepted that these are the only two ways to think.
Today, it's like we are getting our independence again.
I'm very excited. We won this election because they said free education, but the practicals we did in school, we paid for everything. Nana didn't do anything, so we are thanking God for winning this election. We are going to show them pepper.
The only two ways to govern, the only two futures available to us.
Multi-party democracy.
But here's the question. Was it always like this? Or did something happen? Let's start with a simple thought experiment. Imagine you walk into a restaurant. The waiter hands you a menu. You open it, and there are only two meals. Just two. One on the left, one on the right. You ask for something else. The waiter laughs. Those are your options. Now imagine this happens every day for 30 years. Eventually you stop asking. You stop imagining alternatives. You stop believing alternatives exist. Could the same thing be happening in our politics? Because when you look back at our history, Ghana wasn't born as a two-party state. Far from it. In fact, one of the most important figures in our history became famous because he rejected the political establishment of his day. Nkrumah wasn't supposed to be Nkrumah. He was brought into an existing movement. Differences emerged, he left, formed his own party, and within years changed the course of history. Think about that for a second. The father of modern Ghana became who he was because he refused to accept the political options that existed before him. Yet somehow, decades later, we've become a country where many people believe there are only two political choices. How did that happen? The answer may lie in something bigger than politics. It may lie in how human beings think. Because psychologists have long understood something marketers know very well. People like simple choices. Two options are easier to process than 10. Two stories are easier to understand than 20. Two teams are easier to support than a complex reality. And politics figured this out a long time ago. Watch television for a week. A national issue emerges. A politician from one side appears. A politician from the other side appears. They argue. The program ends. The next day, the same thing happens. And the day after that. And the day after that. Eventually, something subtle happens. The nation begins to think in binaries. Like a computer, we begin to think in ones and zeros, not because reality is binary, but because the conversation is. And once that happens, every issue becomes a football match.
2022 manufacturing negative 2.5
2023, negative 1.0.
This is, you have performed better.
Construction, he mentioned rules. Let's go to the construction sector.
Questions. When I come,
it is a rhetorical question. Don't you know the meaning, the difference between a question requiring an answer and a rhetorical question?
Have pensioners in your family?
Please.
No, I'm asking you. Please. Are you happy and comfortable?
Some little respect.
I have respect for them.
Talking about the vice president.
But if he's being useless at managing the economy,
you as a member of parliament, if somebody describes you as useless,
if I have been useless and they describe me,
if somebody describes you as useless,
I'm happy.
Will you be happy with this?
This is not a shouting contest. Respect the viewers.
You are blowing jazz.
Respect the viewers.
You are blowing jazz.
Respect your viewers.
Okay.
Respect the viewers. And stop shouting.
Hold on.
Not a developmental challenge. A football match. Electricity, pick a side. Roads, pick a side. Education, pick a side. Corruption, pick a side. Galamsey, pick a side. Everything becomes a contest. Very little becomes a solution. Now, before somebody rushes to the comment section, no, this isn't an argument against democracy. Democracy remains infinitely preferable to military rule. Ghana has already experienced what happens when constitutions are suspended and power comes from the barrel of a gun. The real question is different. Can a democracy become trapped inside its own walls? Can a system become so focused on winning elections that it forgets why elections exist in the first place? Because elections are not the destination. Development is. Elections are simply the vehicle. And that's where things get interesting. Take a look at some of these countries that transform themselves within a generation. Different histories, different cultures, different political systems, different ideologies. Some learned left, some learned right, some ignored the distinction entirely, yet they all shared something important: an obsession with national development, not permanent political warfare. Development, infrastructure, education, industry, long-term planning, a destination. So what exactly is Ghana's destination? Can you answer that question? Can your friends answer it? Can the average politician answer it? Or have we become so focused on which driver should hold the steering wheel that we've forgotten to agree on where the bus is actually going? And then there's the next generation. Perhaps the most fascinating part of all. At independence, students were often among the loudest critics of government. They challenged authority, questioned assumptions, agitated for change.
Minded down of what Lord Victoria said in London before he came here, that foreigners will find it very difficult to understand Ghana by sitting back there and talking what they think they know. You think Dr. Nkrumah is doing a good job? Well, yes, on the face of it. And I think we have to be optimistic rather than discourage the government and wait for time to decide.
Today, political identities increasingly arrive earlier. By the time you're old enough to vote, you've already inherited a political jersey. Maybe from your father, maybe from your mother, maybe from your tribe, maybe from your university hall.
University campuses have been the training grounds for most Ghanaian politicians. The Tertiary Students Confederacy, that is TESCON, and the Tertiary Education Initiative Network, that is TAIN, serve as the major training and recruitment platforms for the two major political parties in Ghana, the New Patriotic Party, that is the NPP, and the National Democratic Congress, that is the NDC.
Sometimes before people have even entered the workforce, sometimes before they've paid taxes, sometimes before they've had enough life experience to develop independent political philosophies. Again, maybe that's healthy democratic participation. Maybe it isn't, but it raises an interesting question. Are we producing citizens, or are we producing supporters? Because these are not the same thing. A supporter asks, how do I defend my side? A citizen will ask, how do we solve our frustrating problems? These two questions often lead to very different destinations. Maybe the biggest trick isn't convincing people to support one party. Maybe the biggest trick is convincing people that only two parties deserve consideration. That the menu has only two meals, that the story only has two endings, that the future only has two possibilities. Because once people accept that, the debate is already over. So the next time election season arrives, and the colors come out, and the slogans begin, and the familiar arguments fill the airways, ask yourself one question. Not whether the party will win, not whether their party will lose. Ask something much simpler. Every generation inherits a story. The generation before independence inherited a story that said colonial rule was permanent. They rejected it. The generation that fought military rule inherited a story that said democracy was impossible. They rejected it. Our generation has inherited a different story. A story that says national development must pass through only two gates. A story that says every problem has only two political answers. A story that says if you are not with one side, you must belong to the other.
Once people hold on to one political party, it is difficult for them to break ranks with that party to go support another party. It is our feature as a transitional or developing democracy. It got to certain times that we witnessed certain elections that could not be won without the support of some smaller political parties. But for some time now, it's becoming clear. I think 2012 elections, 2016 elections, and even some other previous elections show that the two main political parties won the elections without the support of the smaller political parties. It tells you that Ghana, gradually, technically speaking, is no longer a multi-party democracy. It's essentially becoming a two-party state.
Maybe it's true, or maybe that's just the latest story we've been taught to believe. Because the most powerful prison isn't built with walls. It's built with assumptions. And the most dangerous assumption a nation can make is that there are no alternatives. The day a people start imagining alternatives is the day they stop shaping their future and begin confusing what is available with what is possible. NOKORE, truth is not always what we are told. Sometimes it's the question nobody wants to ask.